Welcome back, Homebodies. Thank you for coming back for another video. Let me go ahead and put this disclaimer out right now. The raw footage in this video is real short because I don't like soggy wet ground, and it's been raining here for quite a number of days, and because my backyard is the lowest point for about 4 or 5 houses, it was a whole no for me. Okay, a frog touched me and that ended it for me. Okay, I'm good with outside until I'm not good with outside. Okay, and when outside touched me, that ended it for y'all. Okay, so without further ado, if you want to see my impulsive buy, then just keep on watching.
So I want to give you guys a few details about this pen that we have. It's actually a doghouse that the neighbor gave us when they were moving, and my husband put some hinges on the top so that we can collect eggs. Because we do not have that many chickens, we really don't require that much space. But all he did was take some PVC pipe and some chicken wire and, you know, build this for me, and I love it. As you can see, it's pretty well held together with these industrial zip ties, and I love it. I love everything about it. As you can see, there is a roosting area. Don't think we need that because we live in suburbia, but there's also a secondary fence that runs around the chicken run because chickens are escape artists. Seriously. He also had to come back and put hinges on the gate right next to the chicken run because our landscaper needed to get his equipment back there in order to whack down all the foolishness back there.
So I have my notes here. So if you see me looking down, this is why, because I want to make sure that I'm covering all the topics. So let's start off with what I just said about this being an impulsive buy. Yes, this was an impulsive buy. The day that I bought the chickens, I had absolutely no intentions on buying chickens. Okay, as a matter of fact, I was out and about looking for feed and seed stores around my area to pick up garden seeds, just like regular seeds. And so I had discussed it with my husband, and I had my daughter with me. And so when we went into the feed store, I'm looking around for seeds, and the selection wasn't all that great. And so Serenity goes, "Mommy, do you hear that? I think it's chickens." And I'm like, I hear it, but I was just gonna play it off. I was gonna ignore it. So then the guy says, "Yeah, we have chicks. We've got baby chicks." And I'm like, all right. Okay, it's going down. It's happening. So I said, "Okay, sir, so how much are they?" And he goes, $2. $2. Do you know how much money I spend on already pre-dispatched chicken? And you telling me that you got them for $2? Okay. So I was like, all right, no, this seemed a little sus. So I was like, okay, so what all am I gonna need in order to keep these chickens? Like, how many do you have anyway? So the guy's like, "Oh, I have 10, and they're $2 a piece, and you know, I'm gonna give you all the stuff that you need in order to start." So he picked out all the stuff, and I'm like, okay, so how much is all of this? He's like, "Oh, it's just $30. $30? Give me 5 of them chickens, okay? Because I want to make sure that someone else can get them, because the Tractor Supplies around my area are always sold out. The Hatcheries that I recently found out about literally don't sell them in smaller batches, and because we don't have the space, I was like, okay, 5 is good for now." So now, girl, my husband was out of town, and I was like, "So, babe, how you feel about coming home to chickens?" And he's like, "What?" Now, mind y'all, I had been we had been talking about getting a dog. So when I called him and was like, I'm legit at the counter buying these chickens, so I just want to know how you gonna feel about this. And he's like, knowing you, it's gonna happen anyway. I just wish that you would have waited till I got home. And I was just like, but then you would have said no. So we about to have 5 chickens. So of course we laughed it off. He gets back home and he builds me a coop, and the coop that he initially built did not have a top on it. So one night he went to go put the chickens away, and and a hawk got to one of the chicks because 2 of them didn't want to go in the little enclosure we had. So then that took us from 5 chickens to 4 chickens, which brings me to my next point. We will not be discussing dispatching, okay? My plans for these 6 chickens that we have now are not to dispatch them, okay? So now I'm not gonna fry them up, okay? They here for eggs and companionship, okay? And manure, because I got a garden, okay? That's what I'm doing with them. Because I deal with so much raw chicken, I had to get the sensation of that off of my, I don't know how to explain it, but the sensation of raw chicken, because I've dealt with it for so long, it's hard to pick up a live chicken and not feel the meat immediately. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but even growing up, like when they would bring chicken home, they would bring it home as a whole chicken, and then we would have to cut down the sections. We never got the chicken that was like already pre-cut. Like, we didn't do that. So ultimately I am feeling the sensation of having to, like, and it's alive, it's here. So we will get there when we get there. Currently, because this is an impulsive buy that I made, my husband has been taking care of them. So there's that. The next thing is the maintenance and the hatcheries. So the maintenance on them are pretty straightforward. We lay down the little pine shavings and stuff, and then we scoop them out once, honestly once every other month, and shove that over into the compost pile. Right here, this is the stuff that you use to take the manure to compost, but because I'm like just solely composting, I'm not using the compost right now. I don't plan on using the compost until next year's garden. I have quite a bit of time before it's even ready to use. Hatcheries. So one thing I did not know, which I'm glad I know now, is that hatcheries sell chicks by the cart size. Like 20, like I want to say 10 little bitty chicks can run you $20, depending on the type. You have some that literally from the time that you get them out, as soon as they hatch until they're adults, they're literally ready to dispatch and eat immediately. And then you have other ones that take a little bit longer. So honestly, for me, because I know now to do more research, I do plan to research exactly what our goals are, because my main goal was just to have enough eggs on hand, because the kids love eggs. They hit growth spurts like it's nobody's business. Like, I literally just measured both Serenity and Samari last night, and Samari is officially 5'7" and Serenity is still 5'1", but literally it's a great source of protein, and Serenity by herself alone can run through 2 dozen eggs a week. Okay, so that was my main purpose, that was my main goal. It was not to sell eggs, it was literally to attempt to decrease my grocery budget, because I am sick and tired of buying eggs. A couple of quick facts that I really wasn't aware of initially was the cost. I can genuinely say it is cheaper to keep 5 chickens than 2 dogs, okay? This pug and mutt cost way more in vet bills, in food, in vitamins, in all of that. Like, I just feel like it's cheaper to have chickens than it is dogs. These dogs, we're consistently buying toys. We're consistently having to buy shampoo for baths. Like, they need a blow dryer. Like, it's too much maintenance. Chickens, I really don't, partially because I'm not the one taking care of them, but the other part of it is I genuinely don't see the amount of upkeep with the chickens that I do with the dogs. So there's that. So, I've mentioned quite a few times that this is an impulsive purchase that my husband ended up taking care of, okay? This is the pro of being married, okay? Because we love each other. This is the pro of not having to do everything by yourself, even after you the one that made the decision. My husband is the absolute best, okay? He could deal with the soggy ground. He could deal with it, and I love him for that. So although this is not his decision, thank God we in love with each other. So next I want to talk about the few things that you need. Initially when we first got the chickens, we picked up this scratch right here. It's got like the vitamins and all that good jazz. Honestly, again, this was an impulsive buy, so I was heavily leaning on the expertise of the actual farmer that was getting them for me. We also ended up having to get this stuff called Diatomaceous Earth food grade. I already had some at home, but it was not food grade. This stuff is amazing, and it goes from the garden to the chickens to the dogs. Like, I didn't know it had so many flipping uses for it. And the one that is not food grade, I don't think is as good as the one that is food grade, because the one that's food grade can literally go in their food. So I can put it on the dogs' coats, I can use it on the chickens, they can eat it. Like, it goes, it's such a multi-purpose like item. Like, I've used it on like my regular garden, like my, it's not like a garden, not the vegetable garden, but like the flowers and stuff, and it didn't burn the flowers, but it did keep away all those little nasty bugs and stuff. And then we do have the front yard treated. We can't really get the backyard treated, like I said, because it floods a lot, but going back there with the Diatomaceous Earth and just sprinkling it over the backyard really does tend to help everything. The next few things that we ended up purchasing, I do feel like the cost is less than keeping dogs. The bedding that we have right here is multi-purpose again. I use it in the bottom of the brood box when I initially brought the chickens home, and I just had like a real clear tote. I had this light right here, and I like put it on a dolly because my husband delivers stuff, so we have this kind of stuff just laying around. But like, I pulled the dolly up to the side of the box, and then I put the light there so that they could keep warm on one side, and then I had their food and water on the other side, and it worked out. So all I really had to do was keep the chicks alive until my husband got home. So I call that a win. Okay, let's keep going. The last thing that I wanted to discuss was like medicines and like the scheduling or whatever. Honestly, my husband did the bulk of the research with another guy that had chickens, and ultimately what he explained was how often you need to feed the chickens, what you need to put in their food as additives, and when to separate them in the event that one of them is doing something to create more baby chicks. And I don't have that information. He do, but he don't like social media. So I'm gonna give you as best I can, cause that's all I got. So from what I can ascertain, he feeds them at least once a day, but he makes sure their water is topped off throughout the day, because we are in zone 8A, which is extremely hot. It's September and it's still pushing 80 to 90 degrees a day, okay? The other thing is he puts this little stuff in the water. This is an antibiotic. You can get this from Tractor Supply. He like it. I like it because he like it, and he was told to do it. So I'm just gonna get in line. Last but not least, the temperament. So chickens actually have attitudes, okay? They can be very territorial, and they can be extremely hostile towards one another. Didn't know this was a thing, again, because I'm used to the raw version of chicken, okay? I'm used to it already being dead and ready to eat. So with that being said, it was a shocker when Nikila always had the attitude, you know? Nikila is literally the main one that really don't do me, okay? Come to find out, we named one of the chicks Prince T'Challa. Turns out Prince T'Challa is actually a girl, so her name became Nikila. And Nikila is another one that stayed with attitude, okay? Justinique, she good with me. Justinique was good, okay? I haven't renamed the other two roosters specifically because I don't want a relationship with them, okay? So when it's time for me to dispatch them, I want to be able to eat them in peace. What I will say is that based on this being an impulsive purchase and then catching up to what I did, I don't think that I would have done it any different. I know I wouldn't have done it any different. I still would have bought the 5 chicks. I love that my husband built me the pen out back, and that he put hinges on it, so now that I can like reach in there and actually get the eggs. Because we did have friends that already had active chicks, active hens laying eggs, excuse me. We were able to experience what the taste difference from store-bought eggs to home laid eggs were. Like, the closer I get to my food source, the more complicated in my eyes things get with how to actually prepare the food, because it's not as cut and dry as going to the grocery store, having all these choices, pick it out and go, go home and just cook whatever you came up with. Getting closer to my food source is a huge adjustment, okay? And one of the adjustments was the amount of bleach I couldn't use. I wasn't ready. I was not ready. So with that being said, got any questions, comments, and concerns, leave them down below. I will try to answer them as best I can, and if I can't answer them, I know the person that does have answers, and I will try to get them to sit here on this camera and tell you guys like they told me. So if you're not already, follow me on Instagram at THL_TheHomeLife to get updates when I got them, and my stories be popping. Girl, this thing is snoring, y'all. Anyway, I hope that you guys have a fantastic day and know that I love you and there's nothing you can do about it.